Part 50. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 509. The loss of contact between Liangbing and Yunlan caused quite a stir in Merlo heaven, especially the investigating angels who were part of Liangbing's command line. This caused a bit of turmoil within the investigating angel system. If it weren't for the fact that the king of apocalypse they were loyal to was the sister of the current king of angels, these angels would not mind having the greatest malice on this matter. After Kesha returned to Melo Heavenly Court, she immediately connected to the Tianren computing cloud and analyzed various data from the space transfer experiment to find traces of Liangbing and Yunlan. But in the end, the results calculated by the Tianren computing cloud were very unsatisfactory. Obviously, all the data in the experiment were backed up, but it could not be calculated that Liangbing was there. As for whether Liangbing may have died, this has been confirmed. The Apocalypse computing cloud that has been built has the lowest level of connection with Liangbing, which means it can barely confirm Liangbing's physical condition unilaterally. In the end, Kesha could only give the order to the scouting angels to do their best to find traces of King Liangbing of the Apocalypse in the known universe. After the Merlot Heavenly Court meeting, Binghua and Hexi followed Kesha to the back of the hall. Kesha turned around, adjusted her cloak and sat on the main seat. Binghua and Hexi also sat on the seats on the left and right. There is fraud in Liangbing's disappearance. I believe anyone with any brains in Tiancheng can figure it out. Kesha's tone was a little bad, with disbelief mixed with a hint of disappointment. Kesha had been holding back during the meeting just now, pretending to be like usual, and quickly finalizing the matter to prevent the discord within the angels from spreading. But now that she is surrounded by sisters who have fought together from the Tiangong era, Kesha reveals her true side. Queen Kesha, the truth of the matter has not been investigated yet, so we cannot make any hasty conclusions. The fact that the Tianren computing cloud didn't calculate it doesn't mean anything. The universe is so big, anything can happen. Maybe Liangbing is trapped in some desolate star field at this moment. He 11 calmly analyzed that as a scientific researcher, he 11 believed in data analysis more than subjective judgment. Before there was a clear result, anything could happen. Binghua's thinking is different from that of Kesha and Hexi. One of them thinks that Liangbing is deliberately avoiding her from a family perspective, and the other thinks from big data that it may be due to other circumstances that prevent Liangbing from actively contacting Marrow Heaven. Binghua felt from the beginning that the accident in Liangbing's experiment happened suddenly, and with the complete experimental data, even a supercomputer of the Tianren computing cloud level could not calculate the result. It was not ruled out that there were other external factors involved. However, Binghua did not say it clearly. I believe that Kesha and Hexi should have had this idea in their minds. However, there is a lack of effective evidence. In addition, the angel civilization's large-scale celestial supercomputer is being built at the last moment. They do not want to cause trouble. No stirring up trouble. After leaving Kesha's office area, Binghua did not return to his palace, but left Merlot Heavenly Court and went to Super Seminary. After talking with an acquaintance, Mr. Wu, about the help of some technologies obtained from the World Eater God in the research of mass energy conversion. At the same time, Binghua also learned from Teacher Wu that he had a new research direction, which was another super warrior technology that was different from the mainstream super warrior technology. According to Teacher Wu's description, the new divine body technology will no longer focus on driving energy and computing efficiency, but on the body's endurance, strength and energy output. In order to expand research in this direction, Teacher Wu imitated some of the Titans and Tianding people. These two beast-like civilization warriors are famous for their outstanding individual strength. They have unique energy supply structural systems inside their bodies. Unlike the super warriors created by technology, these beast-like civilized warriors who can even compete with super warriors with their flesh and blood bodies are extremely strong and can be said to be miracles in the biological field. In addition to powerful circulatory and organ systems, these powerful beast warriors also have neural networks spread throughout the body like blood vessels for energy output, circulation, and storage. Coupled with specialized muscles and strong bones containing metal elements, these beast-like warriors can exert destructive power far beyond their size. What Teacher Wu is pursuing is to combine mainstream super warrior technology to create a super warrior system specialized in combat. Because he draws on the beast body civilization, he temporarily named it half-beast body. According to expectations, the half-animal super soldier abandoned the function of loading external auxiliary calculations and driving energy algorithms. They will rely on the dark energy converted by their own genetic engines to fight. They have a set of circuit systems in their bodies specially designed to store and transport energy, as well as supporting new types of equipment that can effectively defend against various known attack methods. Divine Body. Binghua took what Teacher Wu said to heart. This concept of a new type of divine body called a half-animal body was of great research value. He could pass it on to He-11 after returning home, hoping that it would be helpful to the development of the third-generation divine body of Angel. After finishing the conversation with Teacher Wu, Binghua used the internal navigation system of Super Seminary to find Carl, who was quietly reading books in his office. "Teacher Carl, I hope I didn't disturb you." Binghua clasped the open door with her fingers, and at the same time politely greeted Carl, who was sitting behind the long table and flipping through a heavy book. "It is an honor for me to have His Excellency the Holy Left-Wing visit. Please come in." Carl's expression was as normal. He threw the book and wallet in his hand into the wormhole that was opened aside, smiled politely, and stood up to make a gesture of invitation. "I don't know why Your Majesty the Holy Left came to see me. It seems that there are no academic issues between us that need to be discussed with each other." Carl's face under the hood is very young, and he still looks like the blonde boy in Binghua's memory. However, the smile on his face has changed from the innocent one before to the one he is accustomed to now, and it is impossible to tell that he is sincere or perfunctory. But Binghua didn't come here today to explore the changes in Carl's mental journey. He just spoke out and went straight to the topic. "Liang Bing is missing. I wonder if you know the news." When Carl heard this, the faint smile that had been on his face disappeared, and he asked Binghua in surprise. "What's going on?" "I was able to contact her the day before yesterday." Binghua raised her eyebrows and even gave her the number of her private channel. It seemed that the relationship between the two was more than a simple friendship. This is what happened today. Liang Bing had an accident during the experiment a few hours ago. He was sucked in by an unknown space crack. Now he has lost contact with the heaven and his life or death is unknown. Binghua deliberately made the situation serious, hoping to see Carl's reaction. However, Carl's performance was flawless, and the anxious and worried look he showed afterwards didn't seem fake. In the end, Binghua left Chaozhou without any gain. Seminary. However, this matter will not end so simply. Binghua's investigation will not be so simple. Her intuition tells her that Liangbing's matter is inseparable from the Super Seminary. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 510. After Binghua returned to Merlot Heavenly Court, she put this matter aside for the time being and turned her attention to Angel's handling of various external affairs. The expansion of the righteous order of the angel civilization will inevitably touch the interests of some civilizations, so the angels' foreign wars have never stopped. In the past 100 years of foreign wars, it is the high-level angel He Chui who has been on duty. In a recent foreign war, the righteous order of angels encountered harassment from a group of wandering civilizations in the universe who had united together. These wandering civilizations are civilizations whose civilizations have lost their inheritance, or whose home planets were destroyed and have to wander into the universe. In order to survive, they have to rely on robbing other civilizations. The order of justice is loose in this regard. Angels of these civilizations can provide help in transforming the planetary environment. The price is that these civilizations will become affiliated civilizations of the angels, serving the order of justice and solving some gaps in personnel and equipment. Wandering civilizations that refuse to cooperate will be supervised by civilizations under the just order, and can only operate outside the sphere of influence of civilizations under the protection of the just order, or far away from the scope of the just order. If they do not heed the angels' warning and continue to plunder as they go their own way, then these robbers will face the angels' merciless judgment. Chui was doing this right now, but he ran into trouble at this moment, because the group of wandering civilizations were united with each other and too dispersed. As a result, Chui's troops were a bit insufficient and he was very annoyed by being harassed. Therefore, Zui applied to the Mellow Heavenly Court to dispatch a group of scientific research angels and materials for building stargates to destroy these stubborn wandering civilizations. After reading the information, Binghua understood Zui's plan. She probably wanted to establish a convenient stargate passage in that star field to achieve rapid transfer, so as to quickly annihilate the group of wandering civilizations and minimize the harm. Binghua gave the approval, and Merlot Heavenly Court was backed by the Order of Justice. Although most of the troops were hampered by various things, they also gained a vast sphere of influence, which brought about an incomparable abundance of resources. Nowadays, every time the Order of Justice expands to a star field, angels will build permanent stargates to increase the speed of angels reaching various star fields. Nowadays, with the Angel Nebula as the center, a complex network of stargates spreads throughout the sphere of influence of the Order of Justice, which has greatly increased the influence of angel civilization on these star areas. More than 10 years have passed in the blink of an eye, and there is still no news from Liangbing. Tianquan's reconnaissance angel system has almost searched the area of Justice Order, and still has not found any trace of their queen. As a result, the search scope began to extend to areas outside the angel's sphere of influence. However, without the help of the Stargate, if you want to find two angels in the vast universe, the search is destined to take years as the unit of calculation. Every 10 years, Binghua would go to his friend Kasha from the Super Seminary to ask her about Karl's movements, and at the same time, he would secretly investigate the computing power usage of the big clock. However, the result disappointed Binghua. Shortly after Binghua left Super Seminary more than 10 years ago, Karl applied for permission to use the big clock. According to Kaisha's records, it seemed that he was trying to calculate Liangbing's location. After that, Binghua gave up on this line of Super Seminary because it was useless. After all, there were no angels in the core layer of Super Seminary. It was impossible for Binghua to directly tell Kasha, Lanbing, and others that Liangbing's loss of contact was related to the higher UPS of Super Seminary. As time went by, the news of Liangbing's disappearance gradually faded out of the sight of most angels. Except for the angels in the investigation system who were still conducting searches, the angels in other system departments no longer paid attention to the matter. In the 102nd year since Liangbing lost contact, the edge star field of the Order of Justice is the first satellite of SED, the second planet in the Exide planetary system. Binghua is suspended above the desolate surface, and her sight falls on the nearby SED star. Beside it is a projection light screen. On the screen is Jingnan, Binghua's assistant. At this moment, she is telling information about SED star. Based on the information uploaded by the reconnaissance angel, the Queen found that several combat teams of unknown civilizations have appeared on planet SED in the recent past. Moreover, these warriors of the unknown civilization have good flight combat capabilities and are also equipped with powerful standard firearms. The SED army is no match for them at all, and the SED government is currently controlled by warriors of this unknown civilization. Binghua fell to the ground and stepped on the grey planet with his boots, and said at the same time, "I've received it and I'll pay attention." As Binghua landed, the two angel combat teams that followed also landed and followed Binghua. Okay, the situation is roughly clear. According to the law of justice and order, we angels have the right to intervene in the war between advanced civilization and ordinary civilization. Go, angels, give some color to those guys who invade the world of justice and order. Let them understand that the civilization under the protection of our angels is not to be trifled with, and remember to leave a few alive. Clear. As soon as Binghua finished speaking, the members of the two angel teams said in unison, and then they took off over Binghua and turned into meteors with white tails and rushed into the atmosphere of Star Sator. The reason why Binghua led the team to carry out this mission was because this mission was special and involved an unknown advanced civilization. Binghua came here to scan the formation and to observe the situation. At the same time, it is also because staying in Tiancheng to deal with government affairs will make you feel bored, so Binghua will occasionally perform tasks to relax. After appreciating the overall scenery of Star Sator for a while, Binghua also decided to set off for the surface of Star Sator, which was located in the capital of Star Sator, Ikna City. Go faster, you are the important seed selected by the adults. You will be honored to receive the power of God and become free, new said people. To be honest, I quite envy you. One man was 2 meters tall, with rough gray-black skin and black horns on his head. His figure was on the thin side, but the tight and strong muscles all over his body told others that he was not a weakling. Bah! You degenerates! If I want to be like you, I might as well die, so that at least I will still be a Sed until my death. It seems you have the guts to bring him out. He wasn't too offended to be called the Fallen, but he decided to help the Sed achieve his wish. Hearing this, 2 of the other fallen people around him smiled ferociously and stepped forward, extending their sharp claws in a threatening gesture. The Sed people who had gathered together immediately retreated in fear, leaving only the Sed who had spoken out before. The German young man stood with his head held high. Unlock the shackles on his hands. Today I will be kind and give you a fair duel. As long as you beat me, you can leave here and become the worthless Sed you say. After the tall fallen man finished speaking, another fallen man standing beside him stepped forward in time and removed the metal shackles on the young man's hands. At the same time, a heavy sword was thrown to the ground in front of the young man, making a clanging sound. There was a crisp sound. Then the other fallen ones around them all showed expressions of watching the show and stepped back, leaving enough space for the two duel. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 511. The said young man said nothing but picked up the sword on the ground and held it tightly with both hands. Judging from the way he held it, it was quite decent. When the other said people who were driven to the other side saw this scene, some couldn't bear it and closed their eyes, not wanting to see the next scene, while others looked at the scene with red eyes. Everyone present, including the young man who picked up the sword, knew that he had no chance of winning, because even the professional army of said civilization was easily defeated in front of these ugly fallen monsters, let alone those who had only practiced for a period of time. I have to use equipment to fight myself. However, the young man showed no expression of fear, only hatred and determination, the determination to bite these degenerates even if they died. The fallen man standing opposite the said young man had a cheerful and relaxed smile on his face. It seemed that what was coming was not a duel but a game. He raised his fingers provocatively at the said young man. Seeing this, the said young man clenched his upper and lower jaws, lowered his body slightly and quickly rushed out dragging his sword. When he rushed in front of the fallen, the sword in the young said's hand drew an arc in the air and slashed hard at the fallen. He was still thinking about how to pursue him if the other party avoided it. But in the next moment, all the thoughts in the young man's mind disappeared, leaving only disbelief. Because the fallen did not dodge, he simply raised his forearm to block the blade of the sword without even seeing red. Boy, I'm just playing with you and you still take it seriously. You really think you can hurt me with a broken knife?" Saying that, the fallen man exerted his strength, the said young man was thrown away, and the sword in his hand fell to his side with a clang, but the said young man had no intention of picking it up again. He just stared at the fallen man, who was walking slowly with his eyes, as if he wanted to stare him to death. Walking towards the young man like taking a leisurely stroll in the garden, this fallen person planned to harvest this guy who brought him a little pleasure. The other fallen people around him shook their heads in disappointment when they saw this, feeling that this good show ended too quickly, and they had not yet its fun. Just as this farce was about to come to an end, an accident happened. "Sorry to disturb your enjoyment, but can anyone explain to me where you ugly and twisted guys come from?" As this pleasant female voice sounded, everyone at the scene was attracted and turned their attention to the direction from which the sound came. On top of the ruins of a half-collapsed house, I don't know when, a figure with a pair of white wings behind its back, and its black waist-length hair flowing gently in the breeze, was sitting quietly on it. I don't know how long it has been there. "Woman, who are you?" one of the fallen ones asked unceremoniously. It seems no one is willing to answer my question. After Binghua finished speaking, his eyes turned to the said young man on the ground among the fallen, and he spoke with interest. "You are very good. If you want to kill the other party, I can help you. So are you willing to accept my help?" At this moment, the said young man was so excited that he could not speak because he recognized who Binghua was, and said excitedly, I do." The other said people had already knelt down at this moment, excitedly praying towards the direction of Binghua for the angels to save them. Seeing this, a satisfied smile finally appeared on Binghua's face. He raised his left hand slightly on his knees, and the next moment, small space ripples appeared in the sky. A silver light flashed past, followed by a scream that cut through the air. A silver long sword fell from the air and plunged into the ground beside the young man. The sword body trembled slightly. Immediately, the air around the young man filled with red lines, forming a pair of thick silver armor, covering his entire body. In just a moment, the ordinary said young man turned into a silver knight, except for one thing. The appearance of the armor is more feminine. The young man who had obtained all this was extremely excited at the moment. He stood up carefully and found that he could move freely as usual without any discomfort. Finally he felt relieved and pulled out the silver sword that was stuck into the ground. He felt that his whole body was light and full of energy. Gain strength. The trial production model of the anti-third generation super soldier armor has an instant power feedback system. It is an old antique gathering dust in the corner of Binghua's warehouse, or it was made in the Tiangong period. It was originally intended to be a heavy equipment to increase the combat and defense capabilities of the female angels, but after experiments, it was found that it would significantly reduce the flight combat capabilities of the angel warriors, and the proposal was abandoned. Binghua just made a few pictures and piled them there, something that he came up with on the spur of the moment after observing the farce happening below. It wasn't until the young man turned into a silver knight that the fallen finally recovered from the shock and recognized who Binghua was. "It's an angel, please report it to your lord. Don't worry about these people for now. Capture that angel. Maybe you will make us become real demons." When the fallen heard that they might become real demons, they all became excited. Their eyes were firmly fixed on Binghua, and then they turned into black after images and flew towards Binghua's area. Seeing this, Binghua didn't move at all and still sat there quietly, but waves appeared in the void around him, and then he saw silver rays of light interlacing and twinkling like stars. The next moment, a series of roars continued to sound, and the dozens of fallen people who rushed towards Binghua were pierced by the long swords fired from the air. The long swords continued to blast out deep pits on the ground. The other fallen were frightened when they saw this scene, and turned around and ran away in fear, but when they looked back, they saw a being wearing silver metal armor holding a silver sword blocking their way. "You're the kid just now, get out of the way or I'll kill you." There was no sound to answer the fallen man, only the silver armor rushing towards him at high speed and the long sword swept from his hand. "Remember to keep one alive, I will be useful." The silver armor cut a fallen man in half and then continued his killing spree. There is no suspense about the result. Although it is a mass-produced product, it is made with the goal of fighting against super soldiers. Dealing with these degenerates who cannot stand on the table is as easy as chopping melons and vegetables. In just a few blows, the fallen who had been showing off their power before were turned into corpses. After all this, the eyes of the young Sed in armor overflowed with tears. He felt extremely happy after having taken revenge. "Lord Angel, this is the living mouth you want." Said young man came to the vicinity of Binghua while twisting a fallen person whose limbs were brutally crushed, and spoke respectfully. Binghua was not in a hurry to ask for information about the fallen. She had no good feelings towards such people who took pleasure in bullying the weak. She would kill them mercilessly when she saw them. At this moment, Binghua actually had a good impression of the said man who had dared to resist even under the tyrannical threat of the fallen, and planned to obtain some recent information from him. "What's your name? I just arrived here and I don't understand some things yet. Can you tell me what happened on said planet during this time?" Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 512. Hearing Binghua ask his name, the said young man quickly responded with a very respectful and grateful tone. "Lord Angel, my name is Kabad." Kabad then began to talk about what happened on planet Sed in the recent past. A few days ago, a group of aliens who came from nowhere attacked planet Sed. They possess extremely powerful combat capabilities, and the said fighter planes and air force were easily defeated by them. Then those aliens attacked the said capital, Ikta city. High-level government and military officials were all shot and killed, and then those aliens spread an unknown virus. Said people infected by that virus would mutate and twist into monsters like the fallen. This kind of distortion is not only physical but also mental. At first, they are similar to normal said people, but soon they will become violent, irritable, and finally have no inhibitions. Many of Cabal's friends were killed during the initial rebellion of the fallen. Later, the rioting fallen were integrated by aliens who called themselves demons. They captured young adults everywhere and said that they would give them great gifts. He also said that he would build a country of absolute freedom where everyone can live the life they want. Binghua nodded, but he had a lot of thoughts and guesses in his mind. The term devil was not very friendly to angels, and Binghua had not found anyone claiming to be a devil in the known universe. But in Binghua's increasingly blurred memory, he vaguely remembered that demons seemed to be the mortal enemies of angels. In this case, it was time to find out where these self-proclaimed demons came from. It was only then that Binghua turned his attention to the fallen man being carried by Kabad. Before Binghua could speak, the fallen man, who was already trembling with liver and bile, begged loudly for mercy in horror. "I said, I will say anything, can you two please stop killing me? I had no choice but to look like this when I woke up. Others were afraid of me and wanted to kill me. I couldn't help but kill people, but I promise I never killed indiscriminately." Binghua raised his eyebrows and before he could say anything, Sebald punched the fallen man in the face with his fist, and several fangs flew out of his mouth while spinning with blood foam. "You may not die if you answer, but if you don't answer you will definitely die, and it will be a death that is too painful to live." Cabald's tone was very cold, as if it had a hint that it was better not to answer, as if this way he could kill him. Suddenly, the fallen man did not care about negotiating terms, and kept screaming for mercy. I said, we are the product of a failed transformation ritual. In the words of the demon masters, we are cannon fodder and consumables. Those demon masters asked us to capture the said people in Ikta city who were not affected by the transformation ritual, saying that they would be useful to them. He also said that as long as we do this well, we also have a chance to become real devils. Lord Angel, I have told you everything I know, please spare my life. Kabad looked at Binghua. Seeing Binghua nodding, he let go of the hand holding the fallen man. The fallen man fell to the ground and rolled down the collapsed ruins. After that, neither Binghua nor Kabad paid attention to the degenerate whose hands and feet were crushed. As for whether he could survive, only God knows. I'll call you Kabad for the time being, because for some reasons, I am the only angel who exists in Ikhtia city for the time being. Those fallen ones don't pose much of a threat. I don't have time to deal with them one by one, so I'll leave them to you for now. You can trust the armor on your body. Unless there is an accident, the fallen ones will not be able to break this armor, so you can use it at will. When Kabad heard that the armor on his body could still be worn, he half knelt on the ground and saluted excitedly. I will definitely destroy all the fallen ones, and I will never let down the divine armor you gave me, Lord Angel. Binghua smiled and waved her hands gently, while standing up and speaking out. You don't need to be so polite. You are the people protected by angels like us. If anything dares to attack you, you must first consider whether you can withstand the anger of angels. After hearing this, Kabad was somewhat convinced of the righteous order that had been rumored among the said people. Even though he was not interested in those angel believers, he vaguely regarded angels as his gods, and secretly looked towards the beautiful woman in front of him in his heart. The angel prayed, hoping that there would be no accidents in his next operation to clean up the fallen. After explaining what happened after he left, Binghua stood up, and his folded wings suddenly spread out, causing a gust of wind and waves. When Kabad reacted, the beautiful angel was no longer in front of him, and he felt a sense of loss in his heart. After Binghua left the area of building ruins, it flew straight towards the central area of Ikhtia city, dragging a long, pale white tail in the air. Along the way, Binghua's gaze took in the tragedy below, but she did not stop, because the most important thing now was to kill the culprit, that is, the group of demons who caused all this tragedy. Bang! The metal wine glass fell to the ground and rolled forward. A man with dark purple skin, orange eyes, and two shallow horns on his forehead slapped the waitress serving the wine to the ground. Go down, I'll be annoyed when I see your face. The waitress, who was trembling on the ground, felt as if she had been granted amnesty after hearing this. She picked up the plate in a panic and trotted out quickly. Hazar, don't be so rude. These will all be part of a free country from now on. The demon named Hazar, who was sitting on the main seat, snorted lightly when he heard this and said disdainfully, with these weak-said people, they can't survive the transformation ceremony, and they will never be able to become our kind. Below are several demons sitting on both sides, with halberds and firearms placed beside them, who have some physical characteristics similar to Hazar's. They wear uniform black metal armor, with a pair of folded flesh wings behind them. Because their skin color tends to be purple-black, coupled with the fragmented orange lines extending from around the eye sockets and the horns on their foreheads, the appearance of these demons is very ferocious and terrifying in the eyes of normal Kamigawa bodies. Therefore, even if this group of demons did not kill too indiscriminately, they still made other people in this government building fearful. That's why the waiter who served the wine was trembling. The last thing Kokosa wanted to see was such a weak person, so I was so upset. As a noble demon, Hazar disdained to slaughter those mortals who had no power to resist, but Hazar had to obey the orders from above. So the Hazar group of demons transformed a large number of fallen people to work for them, searching for seeds on the planet that were qualified to become demons, and bringing them back for transformation rituals to contribute to the free world. As for the casualties caused, these demons don't care. Just as their queen advocates, they believe in absolute freedom and do what they want, so as long as they achieve their goals, the process does not matter. So Hazar did all this according to his own ideas. The reason is very simple, it's just that it's easier. This is the cruel reality. The suppression of ordinary civilizations by high-level civilizations will often cause heavy losses and casualties to ordinary civilizations because of a random move by high-level civilizations. Before the emergence of a just order, this was the norm in the universe. Thank you for your support of this book. It is not necessary to give rewards or anything. You must do what you can and don't be impulsive. In fact, as long as you come to Cheateon.com to support this book and subscribe to it, it is the greatest support and encouragement for the author. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 513. After the demons in the hall chatted about some gossip, they turned their attention to business. Hazar, who was sitting on top, took the lead in provoking the topic. As a demon, he was quite serious about the task assigned to him. In the eyes of demons, slacking off during a mission is nothing. As long as you can complete the expected goals, no one will criticize you even if you fall asleep during the mission. The government of Planet Set has been destroyed by us, and their last resistance force has been restrained by the fallen ones and has no time to care about us. The collection of demon warrior seeds in Ikbia city and several other cities is also going very smoothly. Those fallen ones are an unexpectedly good tool. A demon sitting below spoke out and reported that he was the demon responsible for coordinating this matter in this team. It seems that we should convert more fallen people for our use. Another demon expressed his opinion, but was met with disdainful rebuttal by other demons. Those fallen ones are just some defective products. They can only run errands. They will not be of much use in case of trouble. I also agree with this. Moreover, those guys will only cause meaningless destruction everywhere. A good city has been turned into a mess by them. The demons expressed their opinions in the hall, and when they encountered those who contradicted their opinions, they started to yell and curse, creating a state of chaos. The superior Hazar also had a headache when he saw this. The demons were otherwise fine, but the internal hierarchy was not perfect. This was also related to the fact that all demons believed in the same God. Under God, all demons are equal. Of course, the premise is that you have to beat the other person before you can say that we are equal, otherwise we will only get more beatings. The demons in this hall now are except for him, who is an older demon with stronger strength and can control the situation. The others are all demons that were transformed during the same period. Therefore, their strength is between equals. Therefore, once they arrive, a meeting will turn into a full martial arts practice. As a result, less than 2 hours after the discussion started, the hall became a mess before any results were reached on how to deal with Starseid in the future. In the end, the Hazars decided to continue developing according to the current development model. After the collection of demon warrior seeds reaches a certain stage, they will transport the people away. At the same time, they will closely monitor the surrounding star field to guard against the so-called angels mentioned by the Queen. I remember that although the Queen's tone was casual during the summons, when she mentioned the term angel, she paused and asked them to pay more attention when outside and stay away from the sphere of influence of the righteous order, so as not to be discovered by the angels and burned to death. Hazar and other demons deliberately followed the star map given by the Queen and wandered in this star field for a long time before they found said, a life planet with a large population but not strong strength. In addition, on the star map given by the Queen, the sphere of influence of the Order of Justice is still quite far away from this star field. Therefore, the Hazar group of demons launched an attack on said star without hesitation and achieved a huge harvest. Results. What Kokosa and the other group of demons don't know is that the Order of Justice is expanding at an extremely rapid rate, expanding every year. The Exide planetary system just announced that it would accept the asylum of the Order of Justice more than 20 years ago and abide by the law of the Order of Justice. Angels also built permanent stargates in the Exide system to detect angels and civilization observers, and also added the Exide planet series to their patrol list. The reconnaissance angel who passed by not long ago discovered the Hazars and other demons wandering near the Exide galaxy. Based on their route of action, they deduced that their target was most likely the Seed civilization, so they reported it to Melo. Heaven. Merlot Heavenly Court also immediately listed this matter on the task list and put it on the list of matters that need to be dealt with immediately by Binghua's Civilization Observation Department. Binghua saw this mission list and became curious about the description of the demon by the detective angel, so he became the leader of this mission. After Binghua left Kabad's position, it only took a few minutes to arrive at the central area of Exide City. There were many said people activities in the previous area, but now this place has been occupied by the so-called the Fallen have completely occupied it and it has almost become their base camp. The high-rise buildings that were originally full of civilized atmosphere were now filled with smoke. The streets were full of damaged and burning vehicles, as well as the bodies of said people lying in a pool of blood. Some fallen ones even captured some said people and made them kill each other, while they watched the scene in amusement. You must know that these degenerates were said people not long ago. Now they treat their compatriots like this. It is really unimaginable what has twisted their hearts. Even though Binghua had experienced mountains of corpses and seas of blood, when he saw such a scene of hell on earth below, he felt a sense of intolerance and an absolute murderous intention towards the so-called demon who caused all this. At Binghua's current level, he no longer needs to consider too many consequences when doing things, he can just do whatever he wants. Binghua no longer flew towards the government building in the central area, but hovered in mid-air, her cold gaze just falling on the fallen ones below. Then ripples appeared in the void, and countless long swords shot out from the arsenal, breaking through the air, piercing the bodies of each fallen person, and sinking into the earth without losing force, just like Binghua's mood at this moment. The dull roars were dense, and not even a single corpse of the fallen ones within the coverage area of the sword rain was left behind. They were all torn into pieces by the ejected swords. Then the sword rain began to expand and push forward, and the high-rise buildings were shot into a hornet's nest, and finally collapsed and turned into ruins. The flat streets also suffered a heavy blow, being shattered into upturned fragments by the bombardment. Seeing this doomsday scene, how could the fallen who chose to escape? Binghua's weapon ejection array only needed to adjust its tilt angle slightly to increase its range by several kilometers. Such a big movement naturally alerted the demons in the government building. In the blink of an eye, a dozen demons flew into the air and arrived near Binghua. Seeing the armored stomach on Binghua's body and the white wings on her back, the demons immediately recognized that this was the angel the queen had mentioned. But the demons present had no fear, only excitement in their hearts. They were eager to hunt down a powerful angel that the queen said and prove their bravery to the queen. Binghua stopped his slaughtering of the fallen, looked around at the demons inciting the flesh wings and spoke out. It seems that you are the so-called demons. You are planning to surround me and kill me, so I don't need to go find you one by one. I have to work extra hours today, so the update is a bit late. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 514. The surrounding demons heard Binghua's words and didn't take it seriously. In their minds, the number of people was still an advantage in most cases. One of the demons immediately retorted. You, a female angel, are alone in front of us. If you dare to speak so wildly, you are not afraid of falling into our hands. The demon did not say the rest of the words, but both the demon and Binghua present understood what it meant. The demons showed tacit smiles to each other, but Binghua's expression turned colder, and the long black hair spread behind him began to move automatically without wind. You disgust me more than I thought. Suffer death. Before the demons could react, the sound of a sharp weapon cutting through the air suddenly sounded. There were only a few sounds of flesh being penetrated, and the 7 demons were pierced through the chests by the long swords that were suddenly ejected from the wormhole, and they immediately fell to the ground, leaving a trail of purple blood in the air. The other demons were not all unscathed. They were all more or less lucky. The original frivolity on their faces disappeared, leaving only fright and solemnity. Binghua raised her eyebrows when she saw this. Although she had just made a random attack, she had also calculated and locked them. Except for the 3 survivors, she planned to kill all the other demons. But now it seems that nearly half of the demons are still alive. Binghua has also looked at these demons a little more, and at the same time, the attack has not stopped. Just after escaping the unpredictable longsword that ejected from the wormhole, the next moment, the number of twisted signs representing micro-wormholes in the surrounding air almost doubled. The next moment, the longswords crossed each other in the air, causing ripples in the air, and forming an airtight sword network in mid-air. Of the 6 surviving demons, 3 were once again dismembered on the spot. Only the last 3 demons managed to escape because they were not in the densest area of the sword net. Damn! What the hell kind of attack is this? A demon who narrowly escaped breathed heavily and spoke in a trembling tone. Another calm demon on the side quickly reminded loudly. Don't stop there and walk quickly. It's a micro-wormhole transport. Stopping where you are will only lead to death. As the most powerful demon, Kaser managed to save his life through good luck. When he saw that there were only 2 demon brothers following him, only 2 of them were left in the blink of an eye. He had lost the will to fight and turned around to run away. Seeing this, Binghua couldn't help but let these demons go, and his figure immediately began to fly forward. At this moment, Binghua sensed that something was approaching at a very fast speed and raised his hand. A slender silver bullet that was shot out was shattered into pieces by Binghua's slap. The demon sniper who was half kneeling on the ground more than 1,000 meters away felt a chill in his heart when he saw this. He no longer planned to continue sniping and just wanted to leave here quickly. But the next moment, several rays of silver light shot out from a distance, and the next moment, the demon sniper and the hills tens of meters below his feet were blasted into rugged flat ground. Zheng! A harsh metal collision sounded, and a black halberd less than 1 meter away from Binghua was blocked by a flaming sword protruding from the void. The 2 rubbed against each other, and bright sparks erupted in the contact area, along with a circle of energy that escaped. Binghua narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw this scene, and suddenly spoke to the halberd-wielding demon who was very close at hand. Who gave you this energy application technology? Hearing this, the halberd-wielding demon just gritted his teeth and increased his strength, not daring to say more to avoid exposing the information. Seeing Binghua, he didn't ask any more questions and lightly swiped his palm through the air. A sharp blade shot out from the wormhole above the halberd demon's side, decapitating him on the spot. The other demon didn't survive for a few more seconds before his flight and dodge space was blocked by several long swords one after another. Finally, he was stabbed through the chest with a sword and died on the spot. In the end, only the demon leader Hazar was left for this mission. Binghua didn't waste any more time. His wings accelerated the frequency of incitement and immediately chased after him. Hazar, who was escaping quickly in one direction, felt something following him from behind. When he turned around, he found that it was Binghua. He was so frightened that his soul was so frightened that his flying speed became 1 minute faster again. But then there was only a crashing sound all around, and the next moment, silver chains with sharp front ends like daggers shot out from the void, entangled in the air and formed a large net to cover the Hazar in the middle. The next moment, the chain began to tighten rapidly, and Kessa was caught without any surprise. The Shensu chain passed through his body and was locked in the air. He was unable to break free until Binghua came near him. Binghua looked at Hazar, who was restricted by the god-binding lock. Without any nonsense, he directly asked the questions he was interested in. You call yourself demons, so where do you come from and what are you doing here? The panic in Kessa's heart dissipated for some reason at this moment. At the same time, he also thought that the data of himself and other demons had been backed up with the queen, and he was not afraid of death at all, so he spoke up and started trying to anger Binghua. "You bullshit angel, you killed so many of my demon brothers, I will definitely get back to where I am today." After that, there were all kinds of insults towards Binghua. In the end, Binghua was so annoyed that he couldn't do anything about it, so he cut Hazarian in half with his last knife. Binghua didn't pay too much attention to this. Sometimes the dead said more things than when they were alive. Binghua has just completed the encirclement and suppression of the demons that invaded said star. News has also come from several other areas where angels have descended. They all encountered squads of warriors from unknown civilizations, and finally wiped out the enemies after a battle. Although some soldiers were injured, but fortunately there were no casualties. Although the strength of those demons is good, but they are equivalent to the level of the first-generation angels, so the second-generation warriors will have no problem dealing with them. Like Binghua, these angel warriors couldn't get any valuable clues from the devil. When those demons found that they could not escape, they all chose to fight to the death without caring about their own lives. After solving the demons in Ichthya city, Binghua plowed the area occupied by the fallen with sword rain, stopping the fallen from killing and bullying the said people. During this period, Cabald, who was given armor by Ice Flower, performed extremely well. While killing the fallen and gathering the surviving said people to re-establish order, he explained to them the order of justice and the deeds of angels saving him, and gave them the confidence of our countrymen destroyed by the devil. In the current state where the top government officials have been wiped out and rendered ineffective, the said people regard Cabald as the final savior and the hero of all said people. From Binghua's point of view, this was probably the result of the lower level officials of the said people deliberately adding fuel to the flames. Binghua could roughly guess his idea, which was simply to take advantage of the fact that Cabald was favored by the angels and win as much as possible. Angels help after the war. This is from yesterday, I didn't send it out because it was too late. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 515. Not long after all the demons on the said planet were wiped out, Binghua took the lead in returning to Marrow Heaven, leaving only the two angel teams that followed her on the mission to assist Cabald and other said people in annihilating the fallen. As for why Binghua didn't stay for a while, it was because the incident on said star was nothing to her. As a wholly left-winger, Binghua couldn't be just because of a pre-nuclear civilization home planet that was invaded. Stumbling on his own feet. However, the appearance of the demon finally made Binghua take it seriously. As soon as he arrived at the Merlot Heaven, Binghua summoned some scientific research angels to start research on the demon's corpse and the fallen. With the angel's superb technology, it was easy to analyze the structure and constituent elements of the demon's corpse, but the results surprised the research angels who participated in the study. Because part of the structure they extracted from the demon's corpse is very similar to the angel's genes, and there are also some alienated products of the chaos virus. Compared with these, it does not seem too unusual to find a simple genetic engine in the demon's corpse. Something happened. When the research angel's assessment came out, Binghua frowned, because the report mentioned that the devil most likely has relatively mature technology and the technology to rapidly form super warriors. The research report on the fallen is quite conventional, but it is mentioned that the fallen is the product of an unknown virus catalysis, which greatly squeezes the potential of the body. If there is no external energy material supplement, the fallen will usher in physical collapse after a period of time. This period of time is calculated in years, which is about 2 to 3 years, and the most important thing is that the fallen do not have the ability to reproduce. In order to increase physical strength, the unknown virus will discard other unnecessary parts of the organism, retaining only the activity and combat capabilities of the organism. As the King of Angels, Kesha naturally saw the news that the Exide planetary system was invaded by an unknown civilization called demons, and was furious, because this was in a way a provocation to the order of justice and the angels. Without waiting for other news about the devil to come, Kesha's latest order was issued to Binghua, the angels' military commander. In her order, Kesha regarded the demons' invasion of the Exide planetary system as a provocation to the angels and the order of justice, and asked all investigating angels and civilized observers to increase patrols. In addition, we collect information about demons in the known universe, and when the time is right, we will punish the demons with civilized angels, proving to the known universe that the order of justice cannot be provoked, otherwise we will usher in the wrath of angels. As the strongest civilization force in the known universe, angels' words are quite influential. When the news of angels' collection of demon civilization spread, most civilizations began to pay attention to this matter. At that time, many planets invaded by demons were actually discovered. Based on the calculations of the Tianjian computing cloud and the traces of demons' activities in the universe, the angel civilization calculated the approximate scope of the demons' activities. Immediately, the war machine of the angel civilization began to operate, and groups of angel warriors arrived at the nearest place in the devil's active star field through the permanent stargates spread throughout the justice order. Then 10 teams formed a crusade team, led by older or newly promoted third-generation angels, to clear out the planets occupied by demons. For a time, war broke out in the known universe again, but this time the scope of the war was not large, because neither the angels nor the demons launched a fleet-level war. The angels felt threatened by the demons, not to the extent of dispatching the Skyblade battleships, while the demons simply carried out wandering operations. The battleships were hidden and transported the seeds of demon warriors in various grids. The war to punish demons has lasted for decades. Demons finally disappeared from the sight of various civilizations, including angels. Angels proved their power and determination to maintain the just order to the known universe. At the same time, in this battle, due to the actions of angels in slaying demons, they indirectly saved countless civilizations that fell into a sea of misery due to the invasion of demons. Therefore, angels gained a large amount of faith in pre-nuclear civilizations, post-nuclear civilizations, and cold weapon civilizations. Of course, faith and the like are only incidental, and angels cannot gain any benefits from it. The biggest gain is that the order of justice has taken root in these planetary systems and star fields that have been invaded by demons. Angels' concepts of justice and morality have become the highest recognized law in this star field, and they have decided to spontaneously maintain the implementation of the order of justice in this star field and accept the protection of angels. This preliminary confrontation between demons and angels made other civilizations in the known universe even more wary of the influence of the angelic order of justice. In the dark, an alliance to curb the development momentum of the just order began to form. The angel civilization is unaware of all this. At this moment, the angels are celebrating the end of this disciplinary war. The only regret of this war is that they failed to find the base camp of the demon civilization. Ordinary angels might not think too much, but as a military commander, Binghua was slightly disappointed and worried because the process of this disciplinary war was a bit strange. During this period, the demons did not put up much resistance at all, and were basically suppressed and beaten by the angels until the end of the war. The process was so boring that even Binghua found it particularly boring. Basically, not long after the demons occupied a living planet, the angels came over and easily eliminated the fallen and the demons who caused all this. After that, the process is repeated, one to occupy, one to beat, and then another one to occupy and one to beat. Almost 70 or 80 years after the war with the devil ended, the scouting angels finally found their queen after going through a lot of hard work. But only one angel, Liang Bing, was found. The angel Yun Lan, who was involved in the experimental accident with Liang Bing, disappeared. The details will only be known after Liang Bing comes back. On the day when Liang Bing returned to Merlot Heaven, Binghua, He-11, and Keisha gathered at the entrance of Tiancheng Tiangang to welcome Liang Bing's Sky Blade. Meeting again after more than 200 years, Kesha and Liangbing hugged each other and told her their worries. Liangbing also acted like a sister for the first time in front of Binghua and He 11, comforting Kesha and saying that she had not encountered any danger in the past 100 years. Other angels in Merlot heaven are also happy about Liangbing's return. Although Liangbing rarely does anything to attract everyone's attention, he is still an angel king, which is no less than an increase in the angel civilization. An army of angels. After the Mellow meeting announced the news of Liangbing's official return, Kesha took Liangbing and called Binghua and Hexi to her residence, intending to ask her sister how she was doing these years. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 516. In Kesha's palace, Binghua and Hexi took their seats one after another. Kesha first asked Liangbing what had happened in these years and why he didn't contact Merlot Heavenly Court to apply for rescue. Liangbing did not mince his words and began to talk about everything that had happened in the nearly 200 years since he left Merlot Heaven. It turned out that Liangbing was conducting a physical space transfer experiment that day, transferring a substance and a small area of surrounding space over a short distance. Unexpectedly, at the most critical moment of the experiment, the energy circuit of the equipment used for the experiment was overloaded. At that moment, the control unit used to control the energy output was damaged due to overload, causing the energy output to lose control. At this time, we happened to be in the space transfer experiment. At this time, a huge amount of energy suddenly poured in, causing the space transfer channel to be impacted, and a space crack leading to an unknown location opened. This space crack appeared very suddenly. Liangbing, who was presiding over the experiment at close range in the laboratory at the time, and Yunlan, who was acting as her assistant, were sucked into it before they could react. In the space channel, due to the chaotic torrent of space energy, Liangbing and Yunlan had no choice but to separate. Finally, Liangbing relied on his own space knowledge to find a weak point in space, and used all the power at his disposal to create a gap to escape to the known universe. As for Yunlan, Liangbing didn't know how she was doing now. After returning to the known universe, Liangbing was seriously injured due to the impact of space energy and slept for decades before she recovered. After waking up, Liangbing had some clues about space issues that he had not understood because of his previous encounters in the space passage. In order to prevent these inspirations from disappearing, Liangbing built a space laboratory directly in the place where he was sleeping. Start to verify your ideas. During this period, Liangbing also had some interactions with the indigenous residents of the planet where he was sleeping. Liangbing had never spoken so many words at once. She recounted her experiences from the morning until the afternoon. Fortunately, she was not an ordinary flesh and blood body, otherwise her mouth would have been dry. I can't say any more. Seeing Liangbing stop talking, Kesha picked up the herbal tea on the side and handed it to Liangbing. I've been talking for so long, Liangbing, you should take a rest. We all thought you were in some kind of danger, so you didn't contact Merlot Heavenly Court because you were trapped. But it made me worry in vain. Kesha shook her head slightly, sighing that she was overthinking. Liangbing took a sip of tea, put down the cup, and said with optimism and confidence, "Sister, please be patient with me. I'm not a flower in the greenhouse. I've experienced wind and sun, and I won't rush up stupidly when I encounter dangers that I can't defeat. In addition, among the angels, I have the deepest research on space. When it comes to escaping, I am not boasting about it. Is there anyone here who can compare with me?" Binghua and Hexi really can't refute this point. In terms of combat ability, Binghua is confident that he can beat Liangbing 3 times, and even Hexi is not weak at all. But when it comes to escape and concealment abilities, not even Binghua can catch Liangbing, who is determined to avoid fighting, let alone Liangbing, who has said that she has made great breakthroughs in space research in the past 100 years. After resting for a while, Liang Bing moistened his throat and began to talk about what happened between himself and the indigenous inhabitants of the planet. I remember that when I was halfway through my research, my thoughts got stuck and I couldn't get around a problem, so I decided to go out and relax. This trip did not dissipate my ambition, but it allowed me to discover the indigenous inhabitants of the planet, who were in the period of uncivilized tribal civilization. Seeing me flying in the air, they were so frightened that they ran around. I felt interesting and landed on a nearby mountain to observe their reactions. Maybe seeing that I didn't take action against them, they actually slowly approached the top of the mountain where I was and began to worship me. I couldn't understand their language, and I didn't know what they were talking about at that time, but they just regarded me as a god. That's all. I was stuck on my research topic, so I was not in a hurry to go back, so I just watched their life on the top of the mountain. The tribe at the foot of my mountain also showed me its living habits. They often attack surrounding tribes, plundering resources and populations to strengthen themselves, but soon this tribe was also attacked by larger tribes, and was on the verge of extinction. At this time, the leader of the tribe found me, worshipped me, and begged me to save their tribe. At that time, I already knew some of the meanings of their actions. He respected me as a god, offered me everything, and begged me to save their tribe. It just so happened that I didn't hate them too much, so I took action. But they actually respect me as a god. Of course I have to do something, otherwise as my believer, it will be very troublesome to be too fragile. I took time out during my research to start teaching them the Angel and Kamigawa language, and gradually help them get rid of the state of relying on plunder for a living and become self-sufficient. When I finished my research and left that planet, the people there had already formed a country and started to develop towards civilization. After listening to Liang Bing's narration, Kesha said with emotion, "Liang Bing, you have become more mature than before you left. In the past, you didn't even bother to pay attention to these indigenous people." Liang Bing didn't care about Kesha's words, and said with a smile, "Sister, I am 10,000 years old after all, and I understand the meaning of some things. However, arbitrarily interfering with the development of other civilizations is ultimately against the law of justice and order. Liang Bing, remember when you go out in the future, try not to interfere with the natural development of other civilizations, otherwise the civilizations in the known universe will lose their diversity." Kesha admonished, as a sister, she is still happy for the growth of her sister Liang Bing. Binghua didn't have any special views on this. She had an indifferent attitude towards interfering with the development of other civilizations. He 11 is the same. She has little interest in fighting and killing and civilization development strategies. In the past 100 years, she has postponed many research projects to accompany Kesha. Now that Liang Bing is back, he 11 is happy. She can finally stay in the Angel Research Department for 180 years without having to come out. Liang Bing's return also received congratulations from the Super Theological Seminary. At the same time, the principal of the Super Theological Seminary also took advantage of the congratulations to send an invitation to the angels for an academic discussion meeting. An academic discussion that would allow space to personally issue an invitation is undoubtedly an extremely important academic conference. After a brief discussion, the angels decided to send He 11 and Liang Bing as participating angels for this conference. Binghua originally wanted to go, but Kesha stayed behind on the excuse that Merlot Heavenly Court had to have a sacred pair of wings to stay behind. There is a reason why Kesha left Binghua behind. A few days ago, the border guard angels discovered signs of male angels' activities. Kesha planned to ask Binghua to investigate in person. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 517. Surrounded by densely packed energy particles that swept back and were elongated like blue lines, Binghua was currently passing through the fast passage between the planet gates. Not long ago, the border guard angels uploaded the latest fringe star system intelligence to Marrow Heaven. A few months ago, traces of adult male angel warriors suddenly appeared in the star field near the 0586 border guard base. After seeing this piece of information, Binghua directly asked the border guard angels guarding the Edge Galaxy to act easily. If the other party had malicious intentions, they could directly take action. However, intelligence that was uploaded one after another proved that those male angels were just constantly wandering in the outer area where the border guard angels were, deliberately avoiding the main patrol routes of the border guard angels, and only attacking the more remote patrol routes. Now there are two teams of border guard angels. The team lost contact. It is precisely because of this, and because there have been no major events in angel civilization recently, that Kesha specifically mentioned this matter before and asked Binghua to go and find out what the male angels were up to. Later, Binghua also figured out Kesha's intention. Now nearly 10,000 years have passed since the war between male and female angels. During this period, there were almost no male angel armies in the sphere of influence of female angels. The sudden appearance of the now organized male angel army made Kesha want to see how the male angels had developed over such a long period of time and whether they would pose a threat to today's female angels. It would be difficult for ordinary female angels to complete this kind of mission, because they are very likely to encounter the Angel King and Hua, and the organized border guard angels dispatched will be noticed by male angels, and they may escape without a trace in advance. Therefore, the sacred left-wing Binghua, who has extremely high combat capabilities and is reliable, has become the best choice for this operation. While Binghua was thinking about these things, the elongated energy particles around him slowly returned to their original state, and an exit rippling like water waves appeared in front of him. Seeing this, Binghua rushed straight into it without slowing down, and the surrounding blue energy world immediately disappeared, turning into a dark starry sky. Holy Left Wing, welcome to Border Guard Base No. 0586. Two female angels wearing angel armor came up to them, one on the left and one on the right, and welcomed Binghua's arrival with a somewhat excited tone. "Thank you for waiting here." Binghua also replied, and the female angel who greeted Binghua showed respect, stepped aside to signal Binghua to go first, and then spoke out to explain to Binghua. Our 0586 border guard base deliberately stayed away from the Stargate for concealment and wartime needs. If there is a war, we can form a two-sided attack with the reinforcements coming through the Stargate. When the two angels who greeted them introduced the border guard base, Binghua also received the location information of the 0586 border guard base. On the way to the base, these two angels who were not very good at speaking also kept talking about the various things around them. Starfield intelligence. The border guard base is an outpost established by the angel civilization in the starfield on the border of its own civilization's forces in order to strengthen its control over its own rule. It can be regarded as a low-end version of the Skyblade battleship. Stargates and other facilities are built near these bases, which can quickly mobilize troops for support in the event of a war or invasion by a foreign civilization. Each border guard base is also equivalent to a stable space coordinate point, which can be used for Skyblade warships to make ultra-long-distance space jumps. It is Angel's continuous improvement of this system that stabilizes his position in the known universe. Otherwise, with the small population of angels, it would be impossible to effectively control such a huge starfield, obtain enough resources to develop itself, let alone become one of the most powerful civilizations in the known universe today. After flying in the universe for about half an hour, Binghua arrived at his destination, a palace complex with an asteroid as its land base. It didn't look like a border guard base at all. Some civilizations that don't know much about angel civilization may think that it is a residential palace built by angels when they encounter the angels' border guard base for the first time. Regarding this point, Binghua had tried to change the style of some of the angels' military buildings, but most angels did not like the kind of buildings that were full of coldness and seriousness. They preferred the palace style that was full of beauty and luxury. After entering the border guard base, the archangel of the border guard was already waiting at the entrance. The two entered a room together and began to discuss information about this operation. As the Holy Left Wing, Binghua has command authority over the border guard angels, so there were no twists and turns in the conversation with the border guard angels. A few days later, Binghua led 2 squads of border guard angels to hide in areas frequented by male angels. For this operation, Binghua specially used the equipment at the border guard base to create a batch of equipment that could block all types of conventional scanning. The star field that Binghua chose was one of the more remote patrol routes among the border guard angels, and the male angels often harassed the border guard angel patrol teams here. After waiting for almost a month, nothing was found. Just when Binghua thought that the male angel might have left the star field, the male angel finally appeared. At the same time, there was also a patrol team composed of 5 border guarding angels, and there were more than 20 male angels who came, and their attire was almost exactly the same as thousands of years ago. The border guarding angel team did not panic after discovering the incoming male angel. After quickly forming a combat formation, they rushed over bravely regardless of the numerical gap between the enemy and ourselves. The originally neat formation of the male angels was easily broken up by the 5 guarding angels. However, the male angels were obviously prepared and used their numerical advantage to forcefully separate the guarding angels who were originally in combat formation. According to Binghua's observation, the main force of this group of male angels are second-generation angels, otherwise it would be impossible to separate the border guarding angel team and form a 3-on-1 situation. But even though they were surrounded by male angels and were at a disadvantage, the border guarding angels did not lose easily. Instead, they retreated towards Binghua's area while fighting. This was a plan made in advance. After seeing that the 2 warring parties were close enough to launch a surprise attack, Binghua gave the order to attack without hesitation. The 2 hidden teams of border guarding angels pulled off the cloaks that shielded them from scanning and concealed their figures, and launched a surprise attack with flaming swords in hand. The male angels who were besieging the border guarding angel team were caught off guard and reduced their number by 1/3 on the spot. The remaining ones saw that the female angels were ambushing them, so they dared to stay and fled in the direction they came from. But with Binghua sitting here, how could they leave? They were simply caught up and killed by Binghua, leaving only the ones alive who could be used to obtain information. As for why Binghua was so merciless in attacking this group of male angels, it was because these male angels had already killed 2 teams of border guarding angels. Otherwise, the Merlot Heavenly Court would not be alarmed, so much so that Kesha would send Binghua to investigate the matter. The reason why she did not directly order the border guard archangel to investigate was because there are 3 generations of angel-level warriors among the male angels. If the archangel guarding the border fell due to the male angel's plot, it would be a big loss for the Merlot Heavenly Court. Therefore, just in case, Binghua, who had the sacred wings, was dispatched. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 518. Kneel down, Holy Left Wing, we have brought the prisoners over. 2 female angels flew over together holding down a male angel, and pinned the male angel who was still struggling to the ground in front of Binghua. Where did you come from? Where do you belong? Facing Binghua's inquiry, the male angel just lowered his head and said nothing. But the next moment, the female angel pressing his left shoulder quickly raised the flaming sword and stabbed his calf. It penetrated directly and nailed its lower leg to the ground. Suddenly the male angel couldn't help but hum. He seemed to have quite a bit of backbone, but none of the female angels present had any bad intentions. They had all come through the blood and rain, and they had no intention of attacking the identified enemy. Compassion. A few minutes later, the male angel from before was already covered in blood. He had obviously been tortured by these guarding angels stationed in the Edge Galaxy. He weakly begged for mercy. I said. Dot. Seeing this, Binghua nodded slightly, indicating that he could start talking, but secretly shook his head slightly in his heart. If he had known this, it would be better to say it directly, which would save him a lot of physical pain. My organization belongs to the 2nd Legion of the Angel Empire, the 8th chapter, and the 358th Squadron. We came here in a big circle from the southern part of the star field. Our mission is to test the strength of the female angels of Merlot Heaven and capture some female angels to crack the various technologies equipped on them. That's all I know. I'm just a soldier. In addition to obeying the orders from above, I don't dare to inquire about anything else. So, dear angel sisters, can you just treat me like a fart? I promise I won't attack you next time. Facing the male angels begging for mercy, Binghua left behind a few words and left. No more chance. When the 2 female angels who were holding the male angel heard this, they raised their flaming swords and stabbed the captured male angel through the chest without further questioning. After Binghua left, the angels guarding the border whispered to each other while cleaning the battlefield. The Holy Left Wing is still acting in a way that suits our sisters. These male angels should be dealt with by exterminating them all. I also agree. These male angels have obviously been coveting the marrow angels established by our female angels for a long time. We should send troops to defeat them completely. Those who dare to infringe on our angelic civilization should be punished by the heavenly blade to make them understand the consequences. The angels guarding the border chatted with each other, and it was very lively. The female angel who led the team had no intention of stopping it. For the female angels who have been guarding the border in the Edge Galaxy for many years and lacked entertainment, any conversation materials are precious. The dark starry sky is like a bottomless mouth of an abyss. As long as you stare at it for a period of time, you will have the illusion that you are extremely small and may be swallowed up at any time. Several classical battleships were floating quietly in the starry sky. Some male angels on the deck were chatting with each other, and some were lazily lying on the seats to rest. Why haven't you come back yet? How long has it been? A male angel with a beard sitting on the upper deck seat looked at him a little irritably, and his fingers were moving unconsciously, expressing his inner uneasiness. Chapter Commander, Column, and the others have been setting off for almost 10 hours. According to the patrol time of those female angels, the battle should have been completed by now and they are on their way back. A male angel with a more feminine appearance spoke out the report and expressed relief after speaking. Chapter Commander, you don't have to worry. This place is millions of light years away from Merlot Heaven. Kesha will not come here just for a few female angels. The bearded male angel, who was called the leader of the battle group, changed his posture, leaned forward slightly and looked at the feminine male angel, and confirmed again in a deep voice. You can be sure that if that bitch Kesha really comes here, our ships of angels won't even be able to fill her teeth. Facing the questioning from his own chapter leader, cold sweat broke out on the forehead of the feminine male angel. He was nervous. Even though he said it so easily, he was still very afraid of Kesha in his heart. The name Kesha is one of the nightmares in the hearts of male angels. No male angel can forget that their king Huaya was wandering around the universe after Kesha thousands of years ago. During this period, countless male angels, heroes in their eyes, tried to prevent the counterattack and extinguish Kesha's arrogance. But fantasy is beautiful, but reality is cruel. The male angel, who had been defeated by the female angel, could only counterattack the angel nebula in his heart, and recall the beautiful life in the celestial palace era on a frightened night. It took nearly 3,000 years for the central male angel group, headed by Huaya, to get rid of the influence of the female angels on them, find a good territory, defeat the nearby civilizations, and begin to dominate. But after all, Kesha was driven to the edge of the universe. Although the environment was not bad, the neighbors around him were not that easy to get along with. Not to mention the many animal civilizations that were defeated in the physical war and fled from the star ring to the edge of the known universe, such as the remaining Titans, the divided Tianding people, and the special races that originally lived here. The forces here are extremely chaotic. Fortunately, the overall strength of the male angels is not bad. There are also several high-level angels, and Huaye's own strength can gain a firm foothold. However, due to their own status as angels, some surrounding animal civilizations who were badly beaten by angels in the physical war were extremely hostile to Huaye's group of angels, and even formed an anti-angel alliance. But what kind of character is Huaye? He is a self-centered existence in Angel Nebula. How can he tolerate clowns around him? After Huaye took a long period of time to recuperate, he struggled with the Angel Legion under his command and beat up all the dissatisfied forces around him, especially the Anti-Angel Alliance. He was beaten and called father and mother. Kneel down and acknowledge daddy. So Huaye, whose power had grown greatly, began to think about it. He must not forget the shame of being driven to this remote place by Kesha's bitch. Sooner or later, I will fight back the Angel Nebula, take the Angel Marrow as my own, and take good care of those angels Kesha, Binghua, Liangbing, and Hexi. So Huaye dispatched several battle groups to the border of the Angel Nebula to explore the recent situation of the female angels, especially in terms of armaments. Although Huaye is lustful and arrogant, he is by no means a stupid monarch. Before taking action, he must understand the depth of the enemy. He still understands this, especially after being defeated by the female angel, he is even more aware of this aspect. Extraordinarily caring. As for why the battle group was sent out instead of the Legion, it was because of Kesha's purge thousands of years ago. Many of Huaye's warriors were scattered throughout the known universe. They lacked the storage of 9% of the entire angelic civilization. He couldn't get in touch with the Tiangong number of the 10 warriors.